Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com, and today's video will be another foray into true crime. Now, I shy away from true crime often enough, and for many years I would never do a public one. But it's been brought to my attention that maybe if the reading by chance reaches the right ears, it might be helpful. By intent going out what you don't see when I handle and shuffle the cards always between whenever I do demonstration readings, even if it's a fake question, I put it out there to the universe that whoever ears needs this message the most, whatever it might be, I hope they receive it. It might be somebody who's struggling with, reading tarot, and that particular reading actually help them figure out what they were going through, or how to, get to the next level or something, or just gives them the confidence, that's whatever reason, I just ask the universe for the messages to reach the people who need to hear the message. And so that's what I do when I do true crime. I just hope that whoever would benefit the most by hearing the message receives the message. Now, I want to say this, and I've said it many times in doing readings. Tarot readings aren't necessarily predictive. I don't do tarot readings for true crime or anything. Even when I do my lost objects, I don't do it to predict the future and to guide me to where it is because there's some unknown, power that directs me. Maybe there's a little bit of that. I don't have the answers for everything because sometimes the results are uncanny. But my primary reason for using the cards is because sometimes when I'm looking for an object, an example, I just bang my head against the wall looking in the same spot 4,000 times. And when you keep doing the same thing, you keep doing keep getting the same results, right? So sometimes, the tarot is really great because it will redirect one's thinking. There's just a chance that you're just doing the wrong thing over and over again, and maybe you never thought to look this way. And sometimes when you lay the cards, there's a suggestion that could be followed through with, and sometimes the suggestion could lead you to what you're looking for, not because it's got mystical powers that are involved, but because you're trying something different, and the new approach made all the difference in the world. And that's why I use tarot most of the time. Yes, it's true that there's sometimes uncanny moments where it's just uncanny, and maybe something greater is at play, but that's not necessarily my intent. My intent is to just redirect my thinking or my client's thinking to help us get a best possible result. So, the true crime case that has caught my attention recently, maybe because I'm a mom and a grandmom, and not too long ago I had 2 sons in college. Not that long ago I was in college. Well, yeah, it was a long time ago, but I remember it like it was yesterday sometimes. There's a young man whose name was Riley Strain. Riley, I took notes. I perused a few channels and to get information, and I also read a few online articles about the case. The young man is named Riley Strain. He's from Missouri, but he was in Tennessee with 200 fraternity brothers celebrating like either the spring formal or spring break or something like that. And, by all accounts, everybody who describes this young man, he was just a really nice kid, the sweetest kid you ever wanted to meet. He was so sweet. He even FaceTimed his mother that evening, when he was going out either before he went out with his friends or while he was out with his friends, to tell her everything was cool. Hey, Mom, I love you, whatever. So he was a nice kid. They went to, him and his whatever group of friends he was with, went to 2 bars. They went to one bar and left. Nothing was said about what he drank there. And then he went to another bar, which was called Luke's 32. He had 1 drink and 2 glasses of water there. And yet, the bar asked him to leave. For some reason, they felt that his behavior was not appropriate or threatening, or they didn't elaborate. I don't really know what was wrong with his behavior. But they did ask him to leave. Now, when the bar released him on the street, they didn't they didn't make any effort to call a cab, make sure the kid got to his hotel okay, didn't put it to his friends, make sure he gets home safe, and for whatever reasons, his friends didn't leave with him. But kids are young, and, sometimes if they're drinking and they're not making great choices for themselves or for their friends. However, at one point, he did text his friends that he was going to find his way back to the hotel. Now, unfortunately, the friends didn't notice him missing until the next morning or the next day. They didn't even notice he was missing. So they all got home on their own, and it wasn't until later that they realized, wow, he never made it home. There are videos from various street locations in town that show him struggling and stumbling with every bone in his body, making a grand effort to stay erect and keep walking. But he fell a couple times, and he was extremely incapacitated for whatever reason. His phone stopped pinging at a tent city, and as it turns out, a volunteer who works in assisting the homeless people in that tent city saw a homeless person wearing his shirt. He had a very distinguishable shirt, which was multicolored, and it had a pocket that didn't have the same color on one side, so it was when they when the workers saw it on the news later, that what he looked like and what he was wearing, she recalled a homeless person wearing that exact same shirt. She commented that the individual was filthy from head to toe, but the only clean, distinguishable thing about him was that he was wearing this crisp, unusual top that happened to be the same top, or similar to what this young man, Riley, was wearing. And another call came in at some point saying that that this witness saw somebody floating in the river. Now, I don't know if they delayed in calling that in, or if by the time the police authorities got to the river, they couldn't find any sign of a floating body. Also, and I'm not sure where this happened, but another person came forward and found a credit card. So there are just, those are the few facts, or the few things that are believed to be facts that we know of. So he's missing, and nobody knows where this young man is. And the authorities would really like to know where he is, and I'm sure his parents would really like to know where he is, and if he is in any, if he's okay. If he's not deceased, he may need tending to, so we pray for the best possible outcome, and we also hope that they find him sooner than later, so that he can get whatever assistance he needs. So I'm going to do my signature spread, which is 9 cards, and then an additional 4 cards, which are what I call the quintessential cards, and we'll see in what directions that we could be looking, maybe, and hopefully the person, one of the people who hears this, it could help them, maybe if they're part of the case, or if they're somebody who lives in that town and they want to give it a shot and follow these directions, and maybe they'll help in assisting finding the young man. For anyone who does have information on his whereabouts, I will put the phone number to make the call, and also his case number, so that, if anybody happens to know anything, they can certainly direct their information to the right people. And again, the deck that I'm using is the Jacques Viéville by Artisan Tarot. And I've been using this deck for my demonstration readings recently because I'm trying to will my lost package from Belgium to find its way to me. But Sullivan Hismans has been awesome, and he's contacted me on multiple occasions to help me try to track down this package. And we think we've tracked it down. We think that it's in a southern New Jersey depot, and so we think that it should arrive shortly. Alrighty, just a few shuffles for online, and let's lay the cards. So we have 8 batons, someone, a knight, perhaps someone on or in a vehicle, it could be. A dashing young impetuous individual could be another thing. He is supported by the other baton that's right here. This is his suit, right? So there's momentum here, right? There's energy, you know. Wow, and then we have a king of the same suit. Son of a gun. So there's this momentum, you know, of energy. I don't know what it means yet, but that's what that says. Some underhandedness. We have the bachelier, you know, some underhandedness, con job, trick, a trick of sorts. Another king, dang. And, you know, of another assertive suit. And then a queen of the same suit. Wow. And then the final row, 3 of swords. 8 swords. So we had 8 batons and 8 swords. So there's 2 energies that are not at odds. They support one another. Batons and swords would support one another, egg each other along, and they're of the same value. And then we only have one passive pip or one passive suit represented in this whole thing. And it's another 3 that we like we see here. And the suit of earth and the suit of air are at odds with one another. Isn't that interesting? One points up and one points down, which is very curious. So this being at odds, these 2 cards that are, you know, these 2 suits that are at odds with one another of equal value affect what's in the center. And what's in the center is the 8 of Swords. Now, the 8 of Swords, you know, does seem to represent a lot of tension with one little thing, one little object in the center of it. These almost look like birds, don't they? Looking in like a cage. So, you know, isn't that interesting? Okay, so let me pull the quintessential cards. For those of you who are new to my channel, this is my signature spread that I developed, and I've used it for many years. And I do what I add up the numeric value only, not the court cards, but the numeric value of the cards to get the quintessential card for each row. And then after I get the quintessential card for each row, then I work on the quintessential card for the whole spread, which accounts for all the numeric value of the entire spread. So that's how that's done. So in the top row's case, the only card of numeric value, because the court cards don't have value, is an 8. So what would it be? It would be Justice. So Justice would be the card up here. Again, 2 of the cards are court cards, and we have a block of court, which is an interesting dynamic. But at any rate, the number 1 card is the Bachelier, so that would be the quint card for this row. So the Bachelier is repeated. The energy of the Bachelier. What is being stressed in this row would be the energy of the Bachelier, right? And then we have 3 and 3 is 6, and 6 and 8 is 14, so that would be temperance. And then I would put temperance here, and then I'll figure out, doing the same process, we'll figure out what the quint for the entire spread is. Wow. This is, I think, extraordinary. I have never seen this before. I have seen, fairly commonly that the quint card for the entire spread could be represented somewhere within the spread, in which case I just pull another card, of the same value from another deck. But I've never seen it where one row or anywhere within the spread where there were two, like the quint card was in play and then the final card was was repeated. So that means, when I see three cards, that are the same in a spread, the message is, dummy, if you don't pay attention to this, you're really stupid, talking to me. And the implication there, and the way I interpret the bachelier, is that there's a con, there's a trick, there's a con being played, okay? Now, there's no water here. I don't see any cups or suits, the suit of water here. However, there are cups on the table of the con man, and it kind of, looks like a bar, right? Like a bar setting. I'm not suggesting anything about any, bartenders. I don't mean that. But, if you're reading it, if you're interpreting the cards in the context of the question, they were at a bar. His behavior got wonky at a bar, right? So we have something being served at a table. It certainly includes cups. And then we have a man and a woman. And I'm wondering if there was some kind of a trick played. Maybe a woman, not by the bartender, but somebody close, in the scene, right? Put something in the drink for a woman that he took, because there's a trick. There's a trick. So was there something put in a drink meant for a woman, but he got it? That's exactly what I'm seeing right here. I'm just seeing that. So it's really weird. Dang, that's just something else. I almost can't get past it. Okay, so that's that row. Maybe that's something that happened. Maybe there was something that was slipped in a drink intended for a woman and he intercepted it. At top, that doesn't, okay, that explains what happened at the bar. That explains his incapacity, right? Perhaps this explains what happened after he left, right? He was banned, he was barred, he was asked to leave. Maybe this is him, he left. Or maybe he encountered somebody who was on or in a vehicle, because we have a knight here who is riding on something. And this quint card for that row is a vehicle, is the Chariot. So after this happened, was he taken advantage of, perhaps, by someone in a vehicle? Now, this bottom row, we have 2 3s in equal measure. They're at odds with one another. Great tension. It could suggest a struggle, and temperance could suggest water, could suggest liquids. Again, it could further suggest the switching of liquid, right? In temperance, we have one thing being poured into another thing. So kind of, right here, it's flanked with 2, magician cards, plus we have another magician card. So that kind of reinforces that whole concept. And I didn't even think of it or see that before, but it just kind of reinforces it, right? That there's something done to a cup. So these 3 are at odds with one another. They have an effect on, this, which is, it suggests a certain level of energy, of pent-up energy. Notice this is the only card that is of a complacent or passive suit. And it's negated by this, So anything that this might have brought is kind of negated. So they kind of rub each other out and then just bring on the worst possible aspects of this. So again, there's just some kind of stress, some kind of tension, some kind of, confrontation. And I think they were this way. Now here, this points up. So this points up, like in case we missed the other two opportunities, in case we missed all three opportunities of seeing the batelier, the arrow is indicating, pay attention. So, wow, that's what it kind of looks like. That there was some kind of trick, deception, maybe a switcheroo involving a young lady, which he, accidentally, was the one that received it. After he was taken, asked to leave the bar, he was like barred from the bar. Something went down, perhaps with somebody in a vehicle, on a vehicle, in a vehicle. Wow. It doesn't tell us where we can find the young man. It only maybe explains a little bit of what happened, but maybe if in pursuing this line, it might bring them to the location. If, specifically if they can track down this individual, if they can track down, maybe if there were, there were lots of videos. I saw them. I don't remember if there was in the videos I saw. I don't know if there was, I don't know if there was any vehicles involved though. I don't know. But I'm getting like a vision in my head of a vehicle, or at least one vehicle. And these kind of support that. So it just kind of suggests that he encountered somebody who maybe took advantage. Now, I know I described these bateliers as taking advantage maybe of a situation while they were inside a bar, but this theme can carry across through the whole spread. I mean, this happens 3 times. This card appears 3 times. It's not isolated just for this row. It's, it's like the whole gist of the thing is about a con or about a trick, So it can apply to what I just said up here. And boy, now like this could, this, because this is earth and it's pointing down, maybe he's by the bank of a river. This could represent water. So we could look at it like that. If we want to say, okay, which one of these rows will tell us where we can find him, maybe if we look at it that way, if we apply that to this row, because otherwise I would interpret the row as I already did, right? But if we look at it to answer that one question, it could be suggested that he's by the edge of earth, there's no, and water, right? This even could be a bridge, who knows? I mean, the lattice work, it's not wood like a baton. This would be more convenient to describe as a bridge, because it's wood, supposedly, and then it kind of has the look of a bridge. But maybe this happened at a bridge. Maybe this encounter did happen at a bridge, maybe. So maybe, clues that for somebody who might be involved in this case could consider some of the things I've mentioned and take it with a grain of salt. Or maybe if you were looking in that direction, this might be just the support and nod and validation that you needed to hear in order to take it seriously or take it a step further. So friends, that's my interpretation of these cards. I hope they're beneficial. I hope they help. And I hope they reach the ears of the person that needs to hear it. One thing I want to mention, I don't know if I did or not. Obviously, I had to pull 2 more bateliers from someplace, right? Because we only have 1 batelier in a deck. And I pulled the second card from the 2 extra cards from the Flornoy Viéville. Now, the Flornoy Viéville, for those of you who don't have it, is a triumph card or trump card only deck, but it includes 2 of each card. I'm trying to pull the second It includes two of each card in the orientation that it comes to us, and also in the orientation that it was intended. And I'm not sure which one is which here, but I think, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure which one is the intended way. And, oh, okay, it would be however I'll compare it to the Viéville of the Artisan Tarot deck, because this is they produced it the way that the deck appears in the museum, you know. So, but what Flornoy did was he did it that way, and then he did it the reversed way. So we have two copies of each of the Triumph cards, which is why I was able to pull two additional bateliers. You know, there's really an uncanny thing that three of one card is represented in this spread. That's really, really crazy. I've never seen it before. I've seen two. I've never seen three. So that's the card to pay attention to, is the con, the trick. It hinges on the trick or a con, something that happened at the bar. Anyway, until next time, friends, peace, stay well, be kind, and do no harm.